You're welcome to this coding challenge session. We're going to be looking at a question, and it says complete the solution so that it reverses the string past. For example, if you have world, WOLD, we should see something like this, DLROW, which is like a reverse DLROW of world. So that means when the any word passed into your function should return as a reverse of it. So we are going to solve this challenge. It's a challenge, but then these are algorithms that you can put into place or place when coding your web app. All right, for whatever reason you want to display the text from behind, and so on and so forth. All right, and there are other useful ways that this is useful, but we're not going to go into that now. We'll just go into how to, make this happen. All right, so before we solve this problem, I want us to look at a couple of functions or JavaScript methods and all that we can use to achieve this. Now, if you looking at this question, seeing that we're supposed to return or console log a reverse, I'm going to test right now. When I console log string str here, str, what we're going to have, of course, we're going to have world displayed, like this string world displayed. So I'll do that, console.log str, and I hit run. Let's see what I'll get. Okay, so I got world. So this is, we passed in world into this function parameter here. Okay, so I want us to look at these methods, and then we'll look at the steps with which we will accomplish our results. So we have join, the join method. The join method in JavaScript, let's just look it up right here. Join method, JavaScript. Now, the join method creates and returns a new string, okay, by concatenating all of the elements in an array. So, simply put, the join method is how it's written, will converts an array to a string. Okay, it converts an array to a string. The toString method, what does it do? Let's check it out. Now the toString method in JavaScript, this is how it's written. toString returns a string as a string. Okay, it returns anything you put there as a string. You can change a number or an integer. You can convert it to a string. All right, and you can also convert a string to a number, but we'll look into that in a challenge that needs that method. And then we have .length. .length will give you, okay, let's add this. It so we say it converts integers or any value to a string. So that means the value will be displayed within quotes, right? Okay, and then .length will give you the total length of characters in an array. Okay, it gives us the total length of characters in an array. And then reverse, what it does is, let's look it out. Reverse method in JavaScript reverses an array in place and returns the reference to the same array. Okay, so what it does is that it reverses an array. So if this word we have here happen to be an array, we could use reverse to just do the job and make it display as a reverse, that is DLROW instead. But what we have here right now is a string, not an array. So as we code, I will let you know when we would apply this particular method. So I have treated all the methods that we'll be using to solve this particular challenge. So once again, the question is to reverse any string passed in to the function. All right, let's reverse it actually. Now, first, I have console logged str, the parameter value there, and it tells us that okay, it's working. What we have is world. Whatever is passed in here actually gets into our function. We are good. But let us not assume that this will always be a string, except you are sure it's going to always be a string. But if you're doing a coding challenge on some platform, then you might want to ensure that whatever they pass into your code to test that is working is a string. By doing something safe, it's just a safety measure. We're going to convert whatever is being passed in here to a string, just to be on the safe side, because if they pass in a number, your code may not work as it's meant to, right? Because you're meant to return or console log a string that is reversed, right? So for you to be sure, we need to convert whatever is going to be used here. In this example, we're using a string really, but it's safer to convert it to what they expect you to output, so you work with that, right? So to do that, we will use the toString method. Remember, it says it converts integers or any value to a string. So it converts integers, so we're going to make use of the toString method. So this is how it's used. The value name here dot toString, and there we have it. So we're going to assign assign it to a variable, and I'm going to call it new str. Okay, so now I'm going to console log new str so you can easily tell or what do I mean. Okay, we're going to console log new str so we can tell if it is actually converting to string, to tell if this is working. Remember, these are the beginners level, so I have to take it in these steps. So I'm going to console log new string. You might want to use return if you want, but I just feel like using console log here. So if you're making use of return, it's going to be something like this: return new string. Okay, it's not new string, new str, and you hit run. Okay, okay, so I will take this to, I'll return this to a console log, right? So let's console log new str. Oh, so I am getting uncut new string. Oh, okay, so there's an error here. So let's console log new str. Yeah, word. So what if we had something like 5, which is an integer or a number? When we console log new string, are we going to get 5, or are we going to get the string version, like get 5 but in string and not in natural integers or numbers? Let's see. So I just hit run, and you can see we have 5 in quotes, so it's now a string. If I'd console logged just str, that is the version of the parameter that has not been converted to a string, let's see what we will get. Of course, we'll get 5 as a number. So you can see the difference when I console logged new str that has converted this str to a string. This is the converted version. str.toString is now a converted version. We assigned it to this variable here, and then we console log the variable, it showed us that now 5 is now 5 as a string, right, on this level. But if I decided to just console log str, when it converts, it doesn't mean that str is no longer str. It only means that what I did was make a copy of this str and turn it to a string, and then I'm going to continue my coding using this new version that I have created, whereas this old version is still there. So if I console log this original version, I still got 5, but as a number. I hope you get it. All right. So now that we have gotten a string version where we converted str to string and we've assigned it to a variable, so we are so sure now that at this point new str is a string version of str. We are sure we're working with a string. Now the next thing, I'm going to revert this to world. So the next thing will be to see how we can reverse what we have here. So if we are to reverse a string, that may not be okay. We will have to convert this string to an array so that we can reverse it. Remember, the reverse method reverses an array, right? The reverse method reverses an array. So because what we have is in string, we are so sure is in string, we're going to convert this string to an array and then reverse it. But we're going to do this in two ways. First, we'll use this method, and then we'll use another method called the for loop method. So let's do this. So how do we convert a string to an array? We do that using the split method. So I didn't include it. I think I left it out. The split method converts a string to an array. Okay, so these are the methods again. Okay, you can pause and go through them, understand them, and then let's go on. So let's convert our new string to an array. So that will be new. I'm sorry, I'm saying new string. I'm supposed to say new str dot split. Okay, so I'm applying the split method to this to split it into an array. So now it is done. I've just splitted this new string str string there. I would also want to assign it to a variable so I can use the value that we have here right now. Obviously we have an array, so I'm going to call it array str. rstr. It means array, a shorter form of saying array. So rstr. So if I should console log to test this rstr, let's see what we will get. Yes, we have world now splitted as individual characters and listed in an array. Okay, an array is a collection of items. Okay, so it's now like items there. So now, since we now have an array of whatever we have here, we still have the same words. What we're trying to do is manipulate these characters to in a way we can reverse it and return it the way it's meant to. We are meant to return it. So first we converted it to a string, though it's a string here by default, but assuming we have we're not sure if this will always be a string, we needed to be on the safe side by first of all trying to get a string version, and then because we know that this method will help us reverse an array and what we want is a reverse version, it's only good to know that we should split this into an array so we can reverse it and then return it back to a string, you see, so that it reverses the string past. We want to return it to a string, but first we are splitting it into an array so that we can use this reverse method. You can use this reverse method on a string, as we have been using this to string on any parameter, any value. We use split on a string. You cannot use reverse on a string. It has to be on an array. So now we've gotten an array version of what we have here. So now let us reverse it. So this is str dot reverse. Now it's reversed. We've done this. Let's assign it to a variable. Let's final not final, sorry, reversed. Let reversed be equal to this, right? And console log reversed. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to run it. Yeah, I have DLROW. So I have a reverse. So it's just reversed everything in this particular RSTR array, right? So, but we're not supposed to, the final result is not meant to be in an array, but just a string. We just want to reverse the word world. So in order to reverse the word world, we are going through these steps to first of all reverse it and then return it back to look like a string, but in its reversed form. So to reverse convert an array to a string, we use the join method. Convert an array to a string. Split converts please don't mind my spelling, converts a string to an array. ToString converts anything to a string, just to be sure. And we've not used length yet, and for loop, which we will shortly. So so now we're going to make use of join, and join, we will join everything back in this array to look like one single word, a string actually. So let's do that. So that would be reversed dot join, and that's it, that's all. So I'm going to say let final results be equal to reversed. Sorry, I'm using reversed, maybe reversed str will be better, so we understand just the reversed version. Okay, and now let's console log results to see what we have. Good. Now we have it as a string, but there is an issue here. We have commas. Is a string of items here, alphabets, different alphabets, or a list of alphabets here. We want it to look like a word, a whole word like this. So what I needed to do was include something like this. So once I do that, it will take out the commas. If you use join, when you use join without these quotes, it will join it, but then it will add commas to it. But if you do not want the commas, then you need to put in the quote. If you want to separate it with a when you put in the quotes, you're trying to say you don't want to separate it with anything. You see, the quote do not have a space, right? It's together. You don't want to separate it with anything. You want to separate it with a semicolon. I'll put it within the quote. When I run this code, I'm going to have everything separated with a semicolon. Can you see the semicolons in between? What if I include a space? What's going to happen? So I'm running it now. You can see it's all spaced out. So whatever you put in here will determine how the characters in the string will be separated, either by any symbol or with a space. Well, I don't want a space. I don't want a symbol. So I'm going to close it up, but still leave the quote there. But if I take out the quote entirely, by default, join will reverse an array to a string and separate the items with a comma. That's the default. But when I want to determine what it's going to separate it with, I then need to include the quotes, single quotes, and put in what I need. But in this case, I don't need anything. I want it to be closed word. That is why I'm taking out every space and every character. So it's going to be tight together. All right. So when I reload this, I'm supposed to have everything without space. Just, can you see? In one word. Now, this is our answer. All right. This is it. But this is it. But then there's another method with the for loop and the dot length that we can use to achieve this. And we're going to do that from this method. In this second version, right, we do not need reversed. Okay, instead of using reverse, we're going to do something manually. The reverse method only helped to make it a lot more automatic, like it just reversed the array, flipped it all for us, right? But you can take out the reverse and manually do what the reverse are just done, the reverse method are just done. That is by using a for loop. So I'm going to set up my for loop. I is equal to 0. I is greater. Just let's leave it as it is for now. I will amend it. Is greater than equal to. So we're using the array. Okay. str dot length. I'll explain. and I plus plus, and then the curly bracket. Now what we have is that this is like a variable is equal to 0, and then when this variable is equal to 0, it will run some codes here, and it's going to ask again, is this variable right? Now I is equal to 0. Now we're going to say is 0. Okay, when it runs this code here, it's going to add an extra 1 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 will be 1. So I will be equal to 1. It's going to ask this one, this new value, is it greater than equal to the total length of the str array? So dot length gives you the total number of characters there. So I'm going to show it to you right now. So here we are using the dot length method. So I'll say I'll just use something calc or something like. So I'm going to console log calculate console log this value and this variable, and let's see what is going to return for us or return to us. So it will give us 1 2 3 4 5 characters. So it tells you the number of characters. That's the length. It tells you the number of characters in an array. Okay, that's what dot length here does. That's what it does. So I could just replace it with calc here instead of having the entire dot length. So it's the same thing. Okay, I hope you get it. So it's the same thing as having whatever dot length here. So it's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing. Okay, so now what I want to do is this. I want to return D, right? Okay, so I'll console log the array str, so I can use that as an illustration here. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new array, right? So I'm going to call it let new r, okay, be equal to it's an empty array. Okay, now what I want to do is take D and put it in this new array first, then take L, put it in the new array next, take R, put it in the new array next take O, put it in the new array, and W in the new array, such that it will give me DLROW. So I want to start from the end and not the front, okay, or the beginning. So that's what I want to do. So now I'm going to kind of manipulate this using for loop. Okay, so in order to get the index number of this particular array, the D here in this array, that would be the index number would be that is 0 1 2 3 4 4, right? So since the index number is 4, that's what I want to target first. I'm going to say I is equal to calc. Now I could have written 4, but what if all the letters or values that will be placed in here may not always be 4-letter or 5-letter words or 4-letter index or 4-index words or 5-letter words. You know, it may not, or it can have longer words and shorter words. So to be safe, you want to start with the length of whatever we have there. So whatever we have here, we want to be safe. Let's start with the full length. So it's like I started from the end, the total. So now the first value of I is this, and that only means that when we are saying, when we want to target, the first thing we will target will be the end, isn't it? Good. Now we need to, in order to, when we are done taking D, we also need to go down to take L, and that in that case will not be incrementing, we will be decrementing. So you can see I've manipulated that, right? Now we'll always be decrementing, right? Now at what point do you want this loop to stop? Of course, when it gets to index 0, when it gets to this, okay, indexing starts from 0 0 1. So when it gets to the last, or the first, you want it to stop. There's no -1, and all. So now our initial value of I is what we have as calc here, and we want it to decrement every time. Decrement by 1 is -1, -1, -1, and it will keep doing something as it keeps decrementing until it gets to 0, and then it will stop. Great. Amazing. Now what do we really want to achieve? But before we do that, it must have occurred to you that if I'm saying I is equal to calc here is 5, but the index here is 4, isn't it? So because we want to make use of the total number as the initial value to take the last letter, we remember, if you can remember, that indexes are always one number short, because this is 5-letter words, but the last word is number 4 when it comes to indexing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's safer to say, because we don't have any, what we have now is 5, isn't it? 5, calc is 5. We don't have any 5th indexed word there. So that means we need to take out -1. So we have 4, right? Good. Now, when I is equal to whatever this is, we want to push something, and that will be new R. We want to push something into the new R dot push. What do we want to push? So that is another method that I did not include here. No. Okay. So the push method places a new item inside at the end. Okay, at the end, inside and at the end, inside and at the end of an array. Okay, that is what it does. You can pause and take a look at all these again, right? Now, so we're going to say new arrow dot push, and now let's get a hold of D, and that will be here, this is where it is. R, because this is the array that we just console logged, R-str, right? ARR-str. This is it here. Okay, so we want to get a hold of the D, and that will be ARR-str, right? Then the index will be I. So we are trying to say we want the 4th character of ARR-str to be pushed in here. Okay, now let's so it will keep pushing whatever I is as the index number that corresponds to the index number here, as it will keep pushing the letter or the what. Okay, let me rephrase. It will keep pushing the letter that is positioned at the number of I. Okay, I need to rephrase this properly, but it will keep pushing. Okay, let's say if I is equal to 2, it's going to push in the letter, the alphabet whose index is 2 here, and when I is 1, it will push in the alphabet whose index that has index 1 here, and that way it will just keep doing it. And we have done it in such a way that it's counting down. That is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not going up, and when it gets to 0, equal to 0, not just 0. Once it is also going to count 0, and once it gets to 0 and has accomplished what it needs to do at 0, it will stop. So we don't have an infinite result. Okay, like endless loop. Okay, so now I'm going to hit run, and I want us to console log our new array. Let's see what we're going to get when we hit run. Now you can see we now have a reverse DLROW. Amazing. So we just did what we used this reverse method to accomplish the first time. So we use for loop to manually reverse it, take it, and then put it in a reversed form. Exactly. So what's the next step after reversing it? Because what we have now is correct, but not in it's not in the preferred data type. So we have to change this to a string, convert this to string, and to do that we need the join method. So what are we converting to the string? The new R, right? So let's say new R. That's the new arrow that the array that now holds the reversed the reversed version, right, of ROSTR. This is the first array. Yeah, you can't see the array here because what happened was we splitted the string to an array. So what we have here is an array of what's the string that was here. So that was the first array. That's why we calculated the length of the new str. Okay, sorry, the length of the rstr here, because this is the array. It's array of world, world. That's the array here. Okay, because we split the string into an array. And then what we did was convert, reverse what we the content we had here now, or we have here now. We reversed the content using a for loop by picking the letter that the alphabet that ends the array and placing it first, pushing it first into this one, taking this one, pushing it next, taking this one, pushing it next, taking this one, pushing it next, taking this one and pushing it next. Okay, so that is what we used the for loop to accomplish. But in the first method we use simple reverse, and it gave us the same result. And so now the final thing is to convert this new one that holds what we have, that is a new array, to a string. I think I've explained this already, and I'm going to say let final and console log final, and let's see. Wow, we have DLROW. Now let's input some other words. There's HAPPY and run our code. Let's see what we will get. You can see it started. We have YPPAH. All right, the reverse. And lastly, we'll say hello and hit run. And we have OLLEH. So that's it. These are the methods that we use, JavaScript methods that we used. We could either use reverse or for loop. And when we used for loop, we made use of the dot length method because we needed to get the total length. All right. But aside these two that are replaced or can be interchanged with this, we use splits in all the methods. We use push, we use join, we use string, we use dot reverse. So you continue learning coding, taking coding challenges with me. I'm going to keep doing this. It will also help you learn new JavaScript methods, and it will also help you know more of the JavaScript methods and how to apply them on the go, right? So we have accomplished two things: solved this challenge, understood the algorithm, and also learned new methods, if any of them were new to you. So thank you. I'll see you in the next coding challenge.